being an entrepreneur sounds cool, but the reality of building a business is very, very difficult. Every level that you hit, there's a lot of things that suck that you just won't want to do. What you're capable of is on the other side. I don't feel like it.
And if you're committed to what it is that you're trying to do, nothing is going to stop you from getting there.
Welcome back to another episode of Real Business Owners with myself, Trevor Cowley. Today we have an incredible guest, Tyler Turley. Tyler has scaled companies, exited companies, is in the process of currently building something new. He's going to go over some of the things that he dealt with in the scaling process, in the exiting process, and watching his wife also build a business worth multiple 8 figures. And so I know you guys are going to enjoy today's episode. So let's get into it. You decided, hey, I need a career. You know, I'm married, I've got a family. Sure. I'm going to go into insurance.
Yeah, I was like family biz almost. My dad was an insurance agent. My brothers did
slinging what? Like health insurance or life? Home auto.
Like, okay. Yeah, your standard property and casualty insurance.
Okay. So you that was the least path of resistance. It was in the family. You're like, yeah. Yep. Did he give you a book of business or anything? Or
I went in and I bought one. Yeah. Just from a guy up in Idaho Falls, old guy retiring, and just went in.
Started managing.
Bought him out and enough to make a living for me and my little family.
Is that where you were at? Is up in Idaho at one point?
Yeah. Yeah. So I grew up in Idaho Falls, high school.
Okay.
So,
and then you moved to St. George. Was that like a move to try to expand the insurance business?
So it was started the insurance up there in Idaho Falls. Did that for a long time. Then actually bought a bigger insurance agency in Logan.
How did you buy that? Like if somebody...
there's a pretty big marketplace.
So do you go get loans, or do you just save up your money? Or
no, there's a whole marketplace for them where you buy and sell them. There's lenders that's all they do is lend on property and casualty.
So you're okay going into debt, buying a book of business.
Yes.
Now, when you buy a book of business, is there like a process that says like, if I buy this book of business and X amount of people fall off when I buy that book of business? Because in some cases, when you buy a book, you make a lump sum payment and then payments over time.
You'll have a down payment that you'll come in, or the seller will owner finance portion of it to you. The bank will come in, cash them out. You're going to always have some type of attrition that happens where customers will leave because they've known their agent for 20 years.
Yeah.
And that'll happens. And the lenders take that into account because they've done that forever. And they'll only lend you a certain amount, up to a certain multiple to make sure that
if half drop off, it's still
and does its thing. And they go through all of your financials, make sure that, hey, it's going to pay your bills, and they're pretty scrupulous about it.
Okay, so you started buying books of business just to expand.
Yep. So started doing that, expanding, getting bigger and bigger. Just have the ambition of, hey, I'm in this industry. Let's
go
the most of it. Let's go and do the best we can. So. Bought a bigger one in Logan, Utah, moved down there and was doing that. Like I said, family business. Not that we ran them together. And when I say we, my dad, a couple of my brothers, we all owned our individual agencies, but we kind of helped each other and ran it together as a conglomerate, if you will. And so I moved to Logan, bought a pretty decent sized agency down there. And then over the years, I wasn't really happy with what the insurance companies offered us as far as
commissions?
Software and commissions. They were saying as far as the ability to do and run and grow and communicate and manage our clientele the way that I wanted to. So I started looking for bits and pieces and things that I could use to manage it the way that I wanted to. Couldn't find a one-stop shop. And so I started like mad scientist chicken scratching out, if I was to build something to use, this is what I would do. It needs to do this. It needs to do this. It needs to communicate with customers at this point for this reason, follow up at this point for this reason, and mapped it all out.
So it's pretty much a CRM.
Yes. Yeah. CRM with relying heavily on the communication side of things, because we had thousands and thousands of households we needed to communicate with at certain times of year for certain important renewal dates and all of the things. So
you wanted to automate it as much as you could.
Automate a lot of it. And I took that out to a couple programmers and had them look at it and built it out, just pretty much a minimum viable product for me and my family to use in-house of our businesses. And
Did they all pitch in? Like
No.
it was just
No.
like you self-funded it?
it was
So
pretty much.
you hired a programmer and said,
Yes,
hey,
I
this
went and
is what I
found
want.
them. I did it. And I bounced the ideas off of them. Like, hey, what would you want in there? Is there anything that I'm missing or anything? But they were entrenched in their offices and doing it. This was kind of my gig to do it. And then I got it built out, just again, minimum viable product for us to use, started using it. It was working really well. And this was a long, long time ago. But it automated texting and emails and
Yeah. Well, we started using your shit.
Yeah.
Back in the day. So did you transition out of insurance just to focus on that full time when you said, okay, this is working really well?
What happened was after I'd built it, then it was kind of working and doing what I wanted it to do, and started showing it to friends, other family members, people both in the insurance industry and out of it.
Yeah.
Questions, how are you following up with that many people? Even other agents in our company were like, how are you writing that many policies? How are you doing it that way? And I'd show it to them. I'd be like, hey, I'm using kind of this little thing. And they're like, well, I want that. Yeah. Like,
so now you have a new problem.
Not for sale.
How do I price it out?
Yes. And they would say, well, I'll pay you for it. I'm like, well, pay me like what? Like $5, $50? Like, what are we talking here?
Yeah.
And then the wheels in my head just start turning and more and more people would see it and want it. So I'm like, man, I think I'm going to like just jump in deep in the pool and try it. So I told my family that I was going to sell out my offices and do my thing and put money into developing this out for the end user, and sold out and built it out and just said, man, where do we want to live? I can live anywhere because it's a fresh new start. That's when we moved down to St. George and just went to town and started selling software at that point, and did that for 10 years after that. So, yeah.
That's what's crazy about it is you found like a gap in in the marketplace and like how it was underserving the customer.
Yeah.
And then you figured it out for yourself.
Yeah.
And then that turned into an entire different business.
Whole new business. Yeah. Out of necessity to create what I needed to be successful at my current business.
And then we ended up paying you thousands of dollars a month.
There you go.
To use it. But we were blasting out text like left and right. Yeah. Right. So, I mean, for the most part, what were some of the features that you felt like you needed in your industry, or maybe a lot of businesses need that service a lot of people? Was it mainly just, the automated text on birthdays or like
automated communication of it, and specific to the insurance industry, which made it super valuable for us, and why I did it in the first place was we'd get, quotes of people to quote their insurance. It's the name of the game. The more quotes you get, the more business you can write. But as you well know, you quote somebody on their insurance, they're like, let me talk to my husband, let me talk to my wife, let me get my current policies, let me talk to me at my renewal. It was very rarely do you just lock them down and close on the first deal.
Yeah.
And so we would call those X dates, where it's just like, okay, well, when are we going to follow up? Is it at your renewal? Is it in 2 weeks after you talk to your husband? And then you build these, back then there were literally like stacks of paper on my desk where I'm like, okay, this is next week's follow-ups, follow-ups. And I found so many of those were just, there's only so many hours in a day, only so many phone calls you can make, only so many people you can follow up with. I'm like, man, there's so much money sitting in these stacks that I will never get to. And I can hire somebody to come in here, but then they have to get a license. They have to be a good salesperson. I got to manage them. Yeah. And that's what kind of spurred the idea. So I wanted to be able to take it to where if I were to quote your insurance, you're like, hey man, I am interested, but I'm not going to make any switches until my policy renews, because that's just what I do. So, hey, I get it. No problem. When's your renewal date? Boom. And then normally you'd be in the system to give you a call back in 4 months.
Yeah.
So instead, what I wanted to do, instead of calling you back in 4 months, I built it out in the software where I'd put in your name, all your information in there, and I would set out kind of your communication journey with me for the next 4 months so that I could continue to follow up and communicate with you.
Hope you're doing well. Have a great weekend.
As simple as like I would create what we'd call a journey and just say, hey, I'm going to assign Trevor to this, X date campaign. And what that would mean, as soon as I click go, the next day I would say, trigger it all out beforehand. So you would get a text from me the next day after we talked. And I would say, hey, Trevor, thanks for your conversation yesterday. I appreciated, the opportunity. I'll continue to follow up with you. Let me know if you got any questions in the meantime. And you would get that from my local phone number on your phone and be like, oh, what a stud. Like, yeah, thanks, man. And then I would be in the middle of an appointment with somebody else, but that text went out on my behalf. You thought it was me texting you. You could text me back. It would come right to my phone or my computer. I'd be like, yeah, no problem, man. And then maybe a month down the road, I would trigger it again. I wouldn't have to do anything. It was one click and it was done.
You pre-built it out.
I pre-built it out. So a month later, be like, hey, Trev, just again, want to let you know I haven't forgotten about you. Rates are still steady. Looking forward to talking to you at renewal. Boom, boom, boom. If you had a birthday in between that 4 months, it would reach out to you on your birthday. Like all of the things that I pre-triggered it to do would be happening so that when I did call you back in 4 months, it wasn't like, hey, this is Tyler, Trevor.
Again, out of the blue.
Your insurance 6 months ago. And you're like, who the heck are you?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, hey, man, what's up? Yeah, I'm actually ready to go because I'd built that relationship with you, even though the computer had built the relationship, but I was able to manage it and do it.
How sly.
Whether that be 5 people or 5,000 people, it was managing it all.
Yeah. And did you notice a massive difference in your business in terms of conversion rate on some of those follow-ups?
It allowed us to just write a ton of business that we're never able to.
So you were focused on writing business rather than following up with people at that point.
And then at the same time, after we wrote the business, I'd write a different campaign for just converted new business. So it's like 2 days later, hey man, thanks for writing your business. Thanks for trusting me. Watch out for this in the mail. You'll have it next week. If you don't get it, call me. Then in 2 weeks, hey, did you get that in the mail? Just want to confirm you got it. So people think, man, my agent walks on water. He never misses a beat.
Yeah.
But you're doing that with every single person you ever come in contact with.
So initially, were you going to target people just in your industry when you decided to do that?
Yeah.
So when you said, I'm going to go out on my own, I'm going to target insurance agents.
Going after insurance agents. And that's
I'm going to show them. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then it just expanded from there.
Yeah. I mean, I went after insurance agents, but then inevitably they're like, well, my buddy's, a chiropractor and he could use this. Can you do it for him? I'm like,
sure. For the right amount of money. Yeah.
Why not? And so we started building out on all different levels. And then,
how long did you run that before you exited it?
I think it was just over 10 years.
Okay.
Yep. Then I ran that.
So I think that you exited it at a pretty good time, don't you?
Yes, I think I did.
Because all of a sudden there's like all these other softwares out there.
Yes.
Like I heard that you had exited it. We were still using the software for a period of time, but then shortly thereafter, there's a lot of other options that became available that were a little bit more cost efficient.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you were not that I was the original pioneer of that, because I definitely was not, but I was close
to
it.
Yeah.
To the front runners.
You were putting it out there when the marketplace hadn't quite heard of it yet.
I was grabbing bits and pieces of technology and pulling them together to build what I wanted.
Yeah.
And then it got to the point where it was, pretty easy to build what we had after the fact. And there was a lot of, copycat companies that popped up and, came in and drove.
Is that why you chose to exit? What made you, I mean, after putting 10 years into it, I mean, you built it up to be, pretty significant.
It was a significant business for me and my family, and created a great living for us and a good lifestyle. It was kind of, I'm always the guy who's just like,
you want something new?
I'm always just thinking of new stuff to do, and my mind never shuts off that way. So
you got bored with it?
Yes, partly.
Yeah,
partly for sure.
It wasn't a challenge anymore. It was just kind of like,
and it was more of like, okay, if I'm going to really scale this thing to a huge level, do I want to go to that length? Do I want to bring in investors and money and go through all that? And I didn't really want to go down that route either. And so it was just like, I think I'd peaked where I could grow it to the point where it was on my own.
Yeah.
With, the help of some guys that I had working for me and sales guys, but not going to a grand scale. And so I think I'd peaked it out there. But then, as you know, McKenzie, my wife, she had started her own stuff.
So did you still own the business?
Yeah.
When she had started the hair extension, IBE?
Yep. So
Okay.
I had the software and owned it then. And then when she started that, and I could see the writing on the wall where I'm like, man, she's got a tiger by the tail. This thing
Yeah.
is picking up steam
Yeah.
fast. And so I went to her and I'm like, hey, I will stay as far away from your business as you want me to.
Yeah.
Or if you want some help, I'm happy to help you on whatever
Yeah.
capacity you need.
Yeah.
Just let me know. Like,
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm your trophy husband. I'm here.
Yeah.
Um,
You'll get the checks regardless, but if you want
regardless,
help
yes,
carrying
you
the
need
checks
help.
to the bank, yeah.
So she said, yeah, I probably do need help getting this, off the ground and what we think we can do with it. So at that point, again, I think I'd peaked out. I was a little bit bored with it, if you will. And I had one of the guys who had worked with me for years. He had actually expressed interest for quite a long time that he might be interested in doing stuff. And he had some money through, or access to some money through people that he knew. And so I'm just like, oh, okay, I'll ask him. I reached out to him.
Yeah.
Would you be interested if you wanted to? And he's just like, yeah, like for sure I would. So I ended up exiting and selling to him and his partners, and then helped McKenzie get her stuff at Invisible Bead off the ground until I no longer needed to help. And
where there was other support.
Yeah, used my skill set to what it was, because I used it for what it was, and then they didn't need my help with anything anymore. And so it's just like,
so with the help that you provided, was that like, more back end, like businessy stuff, like just kind of like thinking of things like, hey, well, why don't we try this?
Getting it set up and like, what do we need? We need a website, and we need merchant accounts. We need this, we need that. Like, how to just start the business, and get it off the ground and actually bringing in funds and making money. I had nothing to do with, creativity as far as creating the product that she did or what it is and how.
I don't see you being a
all
hair
that.
extension guy, but
So,
yeah,
it was just getting it off the ground and up and running as a business. And then, she obviously has stepped into her own over the years and has killed it since then, does her thing.
So in terms of like IB, did you guys, when you said you could tell that you had the tiger by the tail, did you could see that it was going to be what it is today, like just with some of your business experience, or are you even surprised at the success that you guys have experienced with that business? I mean,
I'm blown away.
Was it fair to say it's a multiple 8-figure business right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then some. It's just like,
and then some.
More than exceeded my expectations of like, holy cow, what just happened?
Yeah. And it seemed to happen very, very quickly.
It did. I mean, she's been running it now for 7 years, but
7 years to do multiple 8 figures.
Yeah.
So, I mean, come on, bro. That's like as rare.
It really is.
Like, she probably looking at you like, dude, what the fuck took you so long to make money and insurance?
And just like, hey,
and
I did my best for like 20 years, and I was like, I'll take care of kids.
Yeah.
I'll be at home.
I'll go pick up your G-Wagon for you in Vegas today.
Yes. So, but I wouldn't like to answer that directly. Did I see it? Did I know it was going to be what it was going to be? Not a clue. Did I know it was going to be
something deep,
something
significant,
super successful?
Yeah.
Yes. Like there was just the feedback that was coming in, the amount of activity surrounding it.
How did that come about? How did that come about so quickly? Like, what was the initial step to say, okay, we're going to take something like this to the marketplace? Because my guess is it's you two, like, okay, we've got this thing, yes, it's her thing. She's the creative behind it, but you're there too. You guys are probably mini masterminding as husband and wife, saying, how do we take this to the market and get it in as many hands as possible? So what did that initial step look like? Was it, hey, let's just try local first, or?
It was definitely local first, and credit to her in just, being absolutely relentless in what she does. I mean, her, she just like goes after it and doesn't stop till it gets done. So that's been a big part of the success of it, but also seeing what was just happening in the beginning with the amount of people when she just first posted, like, hey, look what I did. Like, not even to
not to
start
say
a business.
Yeah,
It wasn't to start a business.
it wasn't say come work with me
No,
or
it
let
wasn't
me do your
anything.
hair.
It was just like, look at this cool thing that I did for my client's hair. And it was just a couple of those posts, really one of those posts. And it was just like, whoa, why are people freaking out? And
So did she create it with the idea of having it be a business, or did she create it because she was a hairdresser and said, "Oh, there's a better way to do it"?
it's the same thing that I
You
created
did.
software to
Yeah.
solve a problem. She created the hair extensions to solve a problem for her clients.
Gotcha.
And it turned into what it turned
So it was just initially, hey, let's do this better.
Yep,
So that
let's do it better.
whoever's in my chair could be.
into. Yeah, can have a better experience with me as their hairdresser. And then the local people were like, hey, well, I'm here, just teach me locally. And she's like, well, okay, well, come to the salon and give me $500 and I'll show you what I do.
Yeah.
And I was just like, man, well, like
People
she had
were
people lining
learning.
up to come in.
Yeah.
It's like, well, okay, well, she's been to classes, she's been to things before. Well, what does she like about going to class in person? What does she hate about it? And then again, like you said, mini mastermind between us two, figuring out what are the pros, what are the cons,
Yeah.
what could we do better? How could you make the experience better? How could you get this out to more people with, how could you scale it better?
Yeah.
And then decided to take it online with virtual education and virtual mentors and all the things, as opposed to making people fly all over the country to come in here, and that bottleneck and expense. And then, the luck of the draw had it that we set that all up to go virtual, and then COVID hit.
Yeah.
And it was just like, we kind of lightning struck because the world shut down.
Yeah.
And even hairstylists couldn't even go into work, but they still wanted to be doing something. So they're like, well, man, I'll do education.
Yeah.
And we were literally like the pioneer of that type of education virtually. And so struck while the iron was hot, and then we poured gas on the fire and kept going.
So my guess is the transition from, day one to obviously now has been, massive in regards to where you're sourcing it, how you, all of that.
Yeah.
So like, were you a part of like, hey, like, did you guys have to fly overseas, or is that like, do all of that and then go tour facilities and make sure that they were making the product in a manner in which honors the original design
and quality? Because it's one of those things, and it's both McKenzie and I are that same way, where
if it's shit, you're
and the business is doing good, but it's just like, we have this part of the business going here, and we're teaching and educating and always tweaking and making better and a better experience and all the things. But then, man, we're recommending these products to the stylists that are coming through. And then if those products suck, but it's the best that's out there, it's like, well, why don't we just offer something that we stand behind instead of recommending something that's so-so? And so it's been that kind of thing over and over again.
That's how the actual product line,
and
the
so
beauty,
out with
the shampoo
then
stuff.
Then it's the hair itself, then it's the tools, then it's the shampoos, and it's conditioners, and all things that we can then step in and have the control over, to be like, okay, where is this being manufactured? What's the process of it? Is it repeatable? What are the costs on it? Is it, efficient? Is it humane? Is it all the things?
Yeah.
And so, flying overseas and all over Tarnation to tour factories and meet with factory owners and finding out where they're getting supply from, the process that it's going through, and building those relationships. And
would you say that part of it's kind of the biggest pain in the ass, like of building something that is of that big of a scale?
It's been an important part of it.
Yeah.
And again, to McKenzie's credit, she manages those relationships really well. But flying overseas and having those, turning them more from not just an email or a WhatsApp, conversation, which anybody can have with anybody, and hop on Alibaba and order anything and get it. But it's just like, man, what are you really getting? And is it going to be the same the next time you order it?
Yeah.
And what's
the
quality,
consistency
the consistency. And so having those relationships built and knowing who we're doing business with, and being able to pick up the phone and actually have a conversation with people that you've met with, you've sat in their offices with them, you've had tea with their grandparents and all of the things. It's been an experience.
What's been the most brutal part of the process of any of your builds? with your insurance business, with the software business,
Man.
with the beauty business. Like, out of all of those, is there a common theme that you see is just part of the brutality of entrepreneurship or business ownership
Yeah.
or scaling or what? Like,
I mean, my knee-jerk reaction and quick response answer to that question is dealing with employees.
people.
It's people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's the consistent through all of those.
Yeah.
Because all of them are completely different businesses, from insurance to software to the beauty industry.
Yeah.
But peopling is consistent across all of those. And
Well, a business plan, it could be perfect.
yeah.
But then you add the human element
And it's
into the
all out the
equation.
window.
And then the most
variable
complex
is crazy as it gets.
species on earth, humans that create a problem out of nothing
Yeah.
or don't follow simple tasks or whatever it may be.
And it's easy when it's like, when it was just in the beginning where it's just me
Few
running
people.
insurance or
Yeah.
me and McKenzie running it. It's like, we can go as fast as we want. We can make the decisions. We're on the same page. Go, 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 go.
Yeah.
But then, like I said, you bring in some complex other person where it's just like, why did you do what you just did? And I didn't ask you to do that. Well, I understand that you were trying to do this, but where'd you come up with that idea? And there's just, it's endless possibilities
Of chaos. Yeah.
which can be good,
Yeah.
but also can be like, oh my gosh, it's a never ending cycle of being on a roller coaster.
Were
of
you
goods
good at
and
firing people or were you terrible at it?
I've always been okay with it.
Yeah.
Like, if it needed to be done, I'm
Pretty emotionless about it? Or do you just say, okay, I didn't put this person in that situation, they did. So it's like my hand is kind of being
Yeah,
forced.
I mean,
like, what was your
probably a little
thought
bit-
process
probably a
behind
little
it? 'Cause
bit
some people
both.
struggle with that. Some
Yeah.
people struggle with letting people go,
yeah,
and they keep people that they probably shouldn't be keeping
for sure.
way too long.
Yeah.
And they're holding this resentment or this
Yeah.
issue against this person. And that's an emotional
That's a vicious
drain.
Yeah.
And usually when you let some, it's never as bad as you make it up to
Yeah.
be in your own mind. Like, oh,
Yeah.
man, I
I've
know.
been throughout all the businesses, even a lot through McKenzie's business while I was heavily involved, more so at the beginning, not so much anymore. But I was the one who was
the
I was a
go-to.
hammer dropper,
Yeah.
to
when they had
bad news.
when they had to have a meeting with double T,
yeah, double T.
double T.
I would come in, but it was sometimes it's like, man, you're done. Like, you screwed
On the
up.
spot?
I asked you to, like, this is not okay. You got to go. Very rarely was that the case. A lot of times it's like, hey, the business is always changing, as most businesses are.
Yeah.
There was an opportunity for you here. And both McKenzie and I, throughout, man, we've been married 25 years. So it's like, we've done a lot of ventures and businesses and lived a lot of life together, obviously. So we've always tried to, if somebody needs to be let go, is there another opportunity for them?
Yeah.
Somewhere it's like,
Yeah. They're not good over here, but they
do I have something
they're
for you
positive
over here?
They show
You
up
know?
on time, but
yeah,
this
it's not
isn't
that
the
I
role
don't
for them.
like you
Yeah,
or
yeah.
this or that. It's just that I might not have anything for you here.
Yeah.
Can I move you over here? And if I could, always try to give them opportunity somewhere else. And then sometimes that's just not possible.
Yeah.
Where I don't even have anywhere to put you. And it is a business. I'm running a charity. And
Yeah.
so sometimes like, man, we just got to let you go and let's part on the best terms. What can we do to, like,
Give them a food stamp application and say, I heard it's not so
here you
bad.
go.
I don't know,
I'll help
but
you out the door, but
yeah,
do
exactly.
the best that you can and
Yeah.
try and leave on
Good terms.
best terms. So when you see them, obviously St. George, small town.
Yeah.
So when you see
You're gonna
somebody
bump
that
into 'em.
it's okay as
Yeah.
it can be.
Yeah. Nobody wants to
And-
be the bad guy walking around town or anything like, hey, that's an asshole that fired me or whatever. But
And sometimes, unfortunately, that is the case,
you're not going to be the good guy in everybody's eyes, especially when you've hired.
especially when you let people
Dude,
go.
we've
It's
hired
very hard.
hundreds and hundreds of people over the last, 13 or 14 years. And it's like, you see them at the gym or you see them at the grocery store, or you see them at little kids' sporting events that now they have their own kid, and so it's just, you bump into people and it's like, I've always been glad that, I treated people very, very well while they worked for me. So in the case that I had to fire somebody, they knew it wasn't just me being an asshole. It wasn't malice.
Yeah.
There was a just reason why, because I won't just go around and do that, because I was building you up the whole time, gave you
Trying
opportunity.
to do the best I could by
Exactly.
you and for the business and everybody. So like I said, very few times was it just like, you need to go, and I don't care if you hate me.
Fuck off.
You're
type,
type of situation. And if that needs to be the way that it was, then it had to be that way. But rare is that.
Yeah. So in terms of getting to the point where you've been able to make, good money.
Yeah.
Is it all it's cracked up to be? All the people that are listening, that are building a business, that are making this massive exchange, going through the sacrifice, losing sleep at night, the whole gamut that business ownership is. I think sometimes we create this fallacy or this thing that, man, when I get this, everything's going to be, all my problems are going to be solved.
Yeah.
Like, what's your take on money, being an individual that hadn't had it at one point, have built things, exited them, and continue to build things.
Yeah.
And I mean, you have all the money that you need. Is all your problems solved?
Yeah. It's an interesting question.
Yeah.
And like you said, like I've gone from making just a regular, normal, like the most average income that you could. We filed bankruptcy. We've now on the financial high, and everywhere in between, throughout the years that we've been. So I can probably speak in an educated way when I like know all the feelings of the ups and the downs that come with that. And it's kind of funny because honestly, when we were like broke, you joke around about, hey, here's your food stamp application. Yeah, I've been there with your EBT card at the thing, and even your EBT money's gone.
My 15-year-old daughter was born on state assistance, bro.
Real.
She's almost 16, but that's just where we were at that time.
Yep. And so I've been there, but some of the like easiest times financially, weirdly enough, were when I was broke, because it was like, okay, well, we've got $1,600 for the month, and put it in cash in this envelope.
Yeah.
And when it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah.
Like, so manage it. And like,
it's not much to manage because there's not
manage. So it's pretty chill.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as long as you can like stretch it out till more comes in, like you're going to be okay. And so interestingly enough, it actually wasn't terrible, going through bankruptcy. It was actually eye-opening and a good experience for me to go through, and do that. And then on the flip side of that, having, enough money to pretty much do what you want to do when you want to do it. Like we talked before we even got started in here, like I like cars. I'll go buy whatever car that I want.
Ferrari. What cars have you had? The Ferrari. What?
Pretty much name it. I've bought them over the past 10 years.
Yeah.
Whether it's
and sold them.
At a discount.
Yeah.
So
just to get rid of them.
Yeah, just to get rid of them, because it's just like, okay, to what end? And we've toyed around with even selling out businesses, and it's like, okay, well, to what end? Just to have more zeros in your bank account? Well, it doesn't change.
If you already have the zeros, what's an extra zero or two?
Doesn't really matter. And I've noticed too, Trevor, that there comes a threshold, and I'm sure it's different for everybody.
Yeah.
But it's like, when is enough? Because there does come a threshold. And I even had a conversation with my older brother about this. And I told him, I'm like, when you hit that threshold, it doesn't matter if you make another 100 grand or 200 or million or whatever.
Yeah.
Your lifestyle doesn't change.
Yeah.
Like, it just won't change. And so once you hit like your comfort zone of, hey, this is the house I want to live in, the house that I'm okay raising my family in, and I'm good, and I'm good, and I'm good, then having excess more really doesn't change that much at all. And it's funny because I'll see people who I'm just like, man, I can see that once you hit a certain level, it's like, man, you can make probably $500,000 a year and look like you are a billionaire. You can go leverage.
There's plenty of that in this town, bro.
Man,
there's plenty of that.
Like, to what end? What are you trying to do? What's your happiness coming from?
Yeah.
And
do you think that those type of people that are appearing to be, bigger than they are, I mean, dude, $500,000 a year, you should be able to live a pretty comfortable life.
Comfortable, good lifestyle.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you'll pay your whatever $150 in tax.
Yep.
You've got your $30,000 a month coming in.
Yep.
You could have a $7,000 or $8,000 a month house. You could have nice cars. You could take your vacations.
Pretty extravagant lifestyle.
You can.
Yeah.
But then there's people that make that and are still broke as shit.
Broke. Yeah.
Bro, we see it like even in the small town that we live in.
Yeah.
I mean, you drive down the streets, it's like massive house after massive house after massive. Every car on the street, it feels like, okay,
Yeah.
that's $100,000 car.
Yep.
That's it's like, where's all the money coming from? And then you look at the national debt is at an all-time high.
Yeah.
And it's just like people are trying to live in a certain manner, which is beyond their means.
Yeah.
And which creates what? An additional level of stress. What's the point of having money if you're going to be more stressed?
And that's what I was saying. Like back to my bankruptcy days,
It's like,
I was pretty chill. Like
you might have had some stresses, but they were a couple.
Yeah.
I need to make the rent. I need to make the car pay. So you had 3 or 4 things to focus on.
worry about.
Rather than all the employees, all the businesses,
Yes.
the pay,
And
you
so
know,
it is
a lot more responsibility than people realize. Like the whole more money, more problems.
Yep.
It sounds stupid as shit, you know, Biggie Smalls saying
Yep.
that. And it's like, when you're young, you're like, fuck, I'll take those type of problems.
But then when you get into them, it's like, as you and I have talked, you know, it's become a full-time job for me to
reduce taxes
and manage the money that's coming in and everything. It's like, man, the more that's coming in,
the more work you have
the
to
more
do to
work
keep
and
it.
the more stress and all the things that happen. And so there are those thresholds where it's just like, man, if you can figure out where that is and then just be in your sweet spot and be good with your sweet spot. And I'm not saying that it's bad to, if you want to go make $1 billion,
sure.
And that's what gets you going to freaking do it. Like go after it.
Sometimes it gets to the point where it's more about the game and engaging your mind and challenging yourself than it is about financial gain.
Absolutely.
Right? Like it's hard to get to the point where you're successful and then say, okay, now it's time to just sit on the beach and do nothing and turn the mind off.
Turn it off.
It just, I mean, it usually doesn't work like that. And so
it doesn't for me. Like, it's funny that you say that because even McKenzie, like I'm always working on different ideas and doing different things. McKenzie's like, what are you doing? Like, stop. You don't need to do that.
You're out of line with your role of your trophy husband.
I know it's something that I struggle with.
Stop trying to do things.
It is,
and just sit there and work on your tan.
Just be like, just relax and enjoy. And I'm like, well, part of it for me, that is enjoying life. Like is like the creating and can I do that? Yeah, can I make that happen? Can I create something?
Honoring a vision that came to you, an idea.
Yeah.
Like it's depressing to just sit around and do nothing. Even if you have a bunch, dude, what are you going to do? Pull up the computer and log into your bank account and see the zeros and then be happy?
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. I was reading
an article, I think even this morning, where I was talking about, especially like males. So it's like, you need to be like
growing in some capacity,
some
sort of
doing
challenge.
something. And if you're not, you're going to be majorly depressed. And like I fully buy into that.
Have you felt that before in terms of like, because some people go through this phase of, you hear about like the exit blues, so to speak, where people build something and then they exit it for a certain amount of money and they go through this phase of like, now what? And they go through like a depression or a valley for a period of time.
I think that's a real thing. I mean, honestly, and not that I've gone through that in an extreme way, but I think to a certain degree,
confused, lost.
Like,
what to do now?
What do I do now?
Yeah.
It's like, I joke around, trophy husband and take care of kids. And I'll do that. No problem. And it's like, to an extent, you do. But then to a certain extent, you're like, but I feel like just as a human being, I need to be doing something. I
need to wake up to something.
I need to be progressing. Yeah. And so even to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm going to go get really good at golf. And so I've been like golfing.
At least it's something.
At least I'm like working towards a challenge that I can do something. Yeah. And it's like, okay, well, that doesn't take up all day, every day. And so, you want to be a great husband and a good dad and all the things that, I want to be, but there's still there's a drive. There's a drive to just be doing something and improving.
Yeah.
Constantly improving.
So what are some of the ways in terms of, making that amount of money that you've utilized tax wise in order to reduce taxes? Because
it's a legit game and it's a legit problem that not only I face, but pretty much everybody faces as far as that goes. And as we talked, the more you make, the bigger problem it becomes. But it's all relative, if 50 grand in the tax bill or 5 grand or 5 million, depending on how much you make, it's all kind of the same to
Well, bro, I
respectively
remember
to how much you make.
I remember
you know?
when I started making good money and it was like $500,000 in taxes. And I was just like, fuck, dude.
What in the world
I'm like,
is this about?
and then at the same time, you try to talk the old me would be grateful to make us so much money to have a $500,000 tax bill. I mean, that was years ago, and so you're wrestling it with it in your mind of like, trying to be okay with it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in your guys' situations, you're talking about millions and millions of dollars in terms of tax liability with the income level that you guys are at. So, like, you've had to go out there and just put your attention on what's out there.
It's become a full-time job for me.
Yeah.
And do that. And,
so now you just buy buildings.
now I just buy a lot of real
Fucking
estate.
building after building after building.
To do that. And it is great because you can, accelerate depreciation and do different things to, not that you're completely eliminating your tax liability, you're just shifting it to a different way to.
You're reducing it, but then gaining an asset.
Gaining an asset through it. And so it's like, man, I would rather kind of redirect money here and offset the liability to gain the asset. And obviously it has to be recaptured down the road if you ever sell it and all the things that go along with it. It's been literally a major education that I've received just through the School of Hard Knocks over the last few years of figuring it out and overpaying and trying to figure out what to do and how to do it. But that's the main thing that we've been doing is just acquiring as
commercial buildings,
property as we can. That, we can keep for.
You're Donald Trump in it.
Longevity.
There's a reason why he's in real estate,
I mean, I do hear about some of the things that he's done over the years. I've read a lot of his books, as well as other, real estate guys and investors. And it's like, man, there are things that you can do. There are things that you can do to offset some of those liabilities or minimize them. And in
what you're working on right now.
What I'm working on right now is, to exactly what we're talking about is, man, taxes are a huge thing for everybody that I know.
I think everybody has to deal with them.
To deal with.
Yeah.
And so.
Well, some people get refunds.
Well, sure.
Fucking lucky bastards.
But, for the majority of people, it's a hard thing to deal with. And they're worried about doing what they need to do to survive each day anyway, that they don't have the time, ability, resources to go out and do what I've had to do out of necessity over the past few years to find out some of these things. And so in going through and finding out how to do that for McKenzie and I and take advantage of just different strategies that are out there, I talk to friends and family. I'm like, hey, well, you could go buy, this property and do this and get these cost segregation studies done on them and then accelerate depreciation here. And then with these tax laws, you can do this with that. And they've told me like, Tyler, well, that's really cool. Like, I understand exactly what you just told me, but I
don't have that type of money.
I don't have the money to go buy a commercial building. I don't have the money to go
$10 million
a
building,
small little rental property.
Yeah.
And even if I did, I don't know how to then rent it out. I don't know how to manage that. I don't know how to do any of what you're talking about. So
it becomes overwhelming.
Cool for you, but
I'm
thanks
screwed.
for nothing.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff, when I would tell like literally very close friends or even family members of mine, I'm like, well, that sucks that just because I'm in this position that I do have enough to go put a down payment on a building or go buy a building cash and make this work. And just because you don't have $100,000 laying around to go make your down payment, you can't do this, even though it's a totally viable thing to do.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah.
And so I started thinking of ways that how could I make these strategies available to
the common person,
friends and family, just, people that I know that would use it if they could.
I mean, obviously there got to be people make probably 100.
Yeah. They got to make
150, 200 or something like that.
Some form of income, obviously, and have it hurt enough that they want to do something about it.
Yeah.
So we're working on, basically taking commercial real estate that's, vetted, we own it, it's currently leased out, producing good income, and then we're going to fractionalize out ownership of that real estate to people that are going to come in and
participate in the cost segregation.
And then help them to have more of a, a tax,
It's a strategy.
a strategy
It's
that
just a
they can say,
strategy.
hey, I can actually invest in real estate and
Yeah.
get the tax benefits of that, even though I didn't just go buy this building by myself.
Yeah.
Because they can come in and say, hey, well, I've got enough to be like a 5% owner of that. And so I would invest that if I could. And so we would let them come in and invest the 5%, let them get the tax advantages for their 5%.
Yeah.
And then we would manage the properties for them. We would lease the properties. We would do everything, which they don't know how to do
Yeah.
yet.
They should
And-
still be focused on making money if
Yeah,
they're
and-
kind of at that
Yeah,
lower end.
So that's from a 30,000 foot view, what I've been working on for the past few years, and kind of
We're getting close.
I'm very
Getting close.
Yeah, very
Getting
close
close to
having it,
come to
to
life.
fruition
Yeah.
and be there. And again, I guess story of my life, it's just like come out of my own necessity to solve a problem that I've had in my own life,
And then make it available
and
to
then
other
turn
people.
it into
A
a
business.
business.
Yeah. If you guys can't see a theme here,
Here.
a software business exited, a hair business that came about off of creating a better solution for their current customers, solving his own need tax wise, creating a business out of solving his own,
Yeah.
that's really what it's about is, you hear the cliche shit. It's like solve a problem and then make it available to other people. Right. And really that's as basic as
It's a real
business
It's
is.
a real thing.
It's like, dude, if you're not really solving if you're a marketing company, you solve the issue of lead generation. They don't have leads. They need leads.
Solve
right?
somebody's problem, whatever that is. And if you've got a problem, chances are somebody else might have that same problem. And so do a little bit of research. And if it's like,
That's what I
other
tell people.
people,
I'm like, bro, if you try to book a massage at 9:00 at night and you can't find one, my guess is you're not the only one.
not the only
Maybe
one.
you fucking start a massage parlor
there you go.
because there's more of yous that exist out there, And so it's like wherever you're running into a roadblock, there's an opportunity right there.
I think so.
And so it's just maybe you're running into it for a reason, and it's your job to solve it and then help other people.
Yeah, and especially
that
if
too.
if you have solved the problem already, it's like, man, I had this problem. I already have the solution.
Yeah, you created it, and
man,
you didn't even know what you created.
Yeah, you don't even know yet, but it's like, man, you already knew what the problem was. You already have the answer to the problem.
Now it's a matter of getting awareness on the fact that you know how to solve
how
the
to
problem.
solve the problem that other people have too.
What would you tell the younger version of yourself prior to entrepreneurship?
In business, you're going to hear so many people tell you why it won't work.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
you can't do what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
It's constant.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you just have a unwavering, like, hey, I can actually do this. And I don't care if you tell me that it won't work.
Yeah.
I actually think that it can. And I'm going to go for it and do it and either prove to myself
that it doesn't.
that it doesn't. But I'm not going to take somebody else's word for it.
I'm not going to use your perspective on what I'm
and
trying
so
to
it's just
accomplish.
like having that self-confidence that you got an idea, you believe in it, you want to do it,
Run with it.
then just run with it and do it.
Hope you guys enjoyed today's episode as much as I enjoyed recording it. Tyler's an incredible individual. Again, make sure you're rating and reviewing the shows. Even if you've left a review previously, please do so again. I read every single one, and it definitely puts fuel in the tank for me. And remember, if you're looking for some financial game, go check out Easier Money, the podcast. Keep kicking ass.